So first thing I'm going to do is start up my VM. But here, I'll explain it here in our little agenda thing. You're going to start up the VM, but actually you're going to do a reset twice before it actually boots into Windows. So what this causes it to do is to get into repair mode. And from repair mode, you can actually break in. Actually, you open a back door. In repair mode, you open a back door. And then you boot and then use the back door. At login. And when you have the back door, you basically are admin level access. And you can do all sorts of things there. All we're going to do is create the user. Actually, we're going to create an admin access user. Admin user. So let's demonstrate that. It's surprisingly easy. I thought it was going to go away in Windows 11. It has not gone away. So I'm going to start VMware. And you can go ahead and fire up your machine, and you can follow along as we go here. Here's my Windows 11. I'm going to actually open my Windows 11 that I had created on my laptop, and it's on my drive. I think this one here is on this machine. I want to open up this one that's on my flash drive. And the way I can do that is I could just go to File, Open from VMware, and that lets me open it over there and where I store it. And all I have to do is open up the VMX file, and it will ask me, it's supposed to ask me, usually it asks me, did you move it or copy it?
When you start it, it does.
Oh, is that what it does? Okay, let's see. I thought it did when I opened it. Here we go. Now it's saying, oh, I copied it. All right. Now, what you have to do is break into it before it boots into Windows. So I have to click on it to capture my, actually I don't want it to capture my keyboard. But while it's starting up and while it's spinning, I'm going to want to do a reset. So I'm getting ready to do a reset. A restart guest. There he's spinning, and I'm going to do a restart right now. And yes. Okay. While he's doing the restart, I'm getting ready to give him another restart while he's spinning, creating Windows, and restart guest. Yes. And now this last time, since I've restarted twice, it should start getting into automatic repair. Let me zoom in on this. Let's see, will it mess up? It might mess up OBS if I try to change my display resolution in the middle here. So basically you're kicking it into repair mode, and this is where I'm going to set the back door. Repair mode lets me open the back door. So go ahead and fire up your machine, restart it twice while it's booting, and then you should get into repair mode. And let's see, how long has it been so far? I don't know how long my recording has gone so far. Do I see time? It's only been 2 minutes? 3 minutes. 3 minutes to get to here. Your PC running on hardware I think, might go a little faster. Here I'm going to click in Advanced Options and Automatic Repair. I'm going to Troubleshoot, and I'm going to go to Advanced Options and Command Prompt. This gives me, right now I actually have root access in this command prompt, and I think I just have to be able to zoom in on this. Let me adjust my screen resolution here. If it messes up OBS, so be it, because I want you to be able to see this. These are important commands. Let's see, so that would be screen number 3 and 4. Okay, so 3 and 4, I'm going to change the resolution on that. Somebody made it really large. Let's see if I can adjust my resolution. 1024 by 768. Okay, It looks like it's recording okay. And let me see what I'm doing here. So now I'm in command mode, or command prompt, administrative level. And this is where I have the power. The problem is though, if I do a dir, I am on a system in System 32. I'm not on the real system. I'm in like a fake Windows system right now. Notice my drive letter X. So if I make any changes here, it's not going to make any difference to the actual booting system. What I need to run now, I'll bring it up to the top of the screen here. What I need to actually run is diskpart. And in diskpart, that actually lets me mess with the partitions, and I can do list volumes. And that, volume singular, list volume. And I see that actually volume 1 is the actual system C drive. So I don't want to mess with the X drive. I actually want to mess with the files on the real system. So I need to select volume 1. So I want to assign volume 1.
Select, I think.
It's just assign 1?
No, I think it's select. Unless you're wanting to assign for something.
Let's do help us one. Assign. Oh, that's when I assign the letter. Select volume 1. There we go. Now I do assign letter equals C. Until I do this, I can't actually get onto that drive to make changes to it. In previous versions of the window, I didn't have to do this. I could just say C:, and I'm on the C drive making changes. This is a little bit newer, where I have to actually tell diskpart, oh, by the way, the volume 1 is now my C drive. Now I can quit diskpart, or exit diskpart, and now I can go to the C drive. And this is where I can be dangerous now. Now I'm actually on the system that will be booted. So I'm going to CD to the very powerful location of my system, Windows System 32. In Windows System 32, there are several files that I can do this with. I'm going to mess with the file that begins with the word set, and it's a running program. There's a program in there called sethc, a hotkey that I know is used by Windows when I'm at the login. If I hit my Shift key 3 times or so, it will fire up the sethc program to give me hotkeys. Now it's an innocent program at the start, but I'm going to make it into a powerful program. There's lots of other programs I can run, but the most powerful program would likely be the command prompt. So let's replace sethc with the command prompt. Now at this point I want to do it in such a way that I can undo my changes. If I were a hacker, I wouldn't care that I left the system with the back door open. But since this is my system and I want to be able to redo this, I'm going to copy sethc.exe to sethc.exe.original. So I can get back to it. And now I'm going to do the dangerous thing. Copy cmd.exe to sethc.exe. Now instead of the sethc program doing what I thought it was doing, it is actually running a program the same as the command prompt. And since I am in super admin mode at this point, it will actually let me copy that file over. Okay, so now I have unlocked a back door. I can't use it at this point because I'm actually not booted into the system, and that's where I can create my hacker user. So at this point, I can exit the command prompt, and I can continue to Windows 11. And let's see what I can do now. So I have set the back door in the system using the troubleshooting administrative command prompt. Now I do continue. Let my little system boot into Windows. Now at this point, if I have some antivirus or system protection software, it will notice that I've made a change to some important file in Windows System 32. So this is a fresh install without the antivirus protection watching for this change. I believe if you install some fairly basic antivirus, it will defeat this particular hack. But there's other ways to get in. Now I have to wait for the command prompt in order for me to get in now. Wait for the command prompt, not the command prompt, the login prompt to come up. And now I simply hit the shift key 3 times?
5 times.
5 times? There we go. Something happened. There we go. And look at that, sethc now fired up. It is actually in admin mode. Oh, what happened there? Try it again. Oh, it did a screensaver on it. Okay, so I'm in sethc. I am running command prompt, and I can do. Why is it not capturing my key? Was it running it? There we go. I can do dir. I can do dir. Oh, it's so slow here. Control C. I can stop that. I can do dir set star.exe, and I see that my sethc. Oh, I don't see the sethc.orig. I think I did this right. Let's try it. Let's see if I can. Let's do dir cmd.exe. Notice sethc.exe is the exact same size as cmd.exe. A hint that sethc has been changed. Now I could watch for signatures of all the files in here as well to see that the file's been changed. Now here's where I do the powerful thing of actually creating a hacker user. And I have asked you in the homework to just prove you did this little lab. Create a hacker with your initials in it. So I'm going to create a hacker user by doing, I forget the command, to create a user. User,
net user.
Net, that's net. Net user. And here's my username. I'm going to create AM, that's my Arthur Manning hacker. Give it a password. I'll give it a password, hacker PW, and /add. I have now created a user, but that user is not admin level yet. So I want to do a net local group, admin, AM hacker, add. Did I do it backwards? Oh, administrators. There we go. Now AM hacker is now an administrator. And now I can exit. Well, actually, at this point, my system is vulnerable. I've left that sethc program in there. Could I cover my tracks right now? Let's see. Dir sethc star.star.star. There's my sethc.exe.original. Can I cover my tracks? What I would do to cover my tracks would be copy sethc.exe.original to sethc.exe. It won't let me do that. I don't know what that message is about. I don't recall seeing that before. Let's try that again. Up arrow. Huh. That's an interesting. I haven't seen that here before. Basically, what I was seeing before is, even though you are actually at admin level right now, it does not let you replace sethc. You can when you're in the troubleshoot command prompt. It's like it sees these are important files. It will not let you cover your tracks. So in order to cover your tracks, you have to break in back in the repair mode and copy the original sethc back to this, and then of course to erase your extras that you created in order to get back. So what's the evidence of that I have been successful? I can do net user, and that'll show hacker, AM hacker is in the system, net group administrators, net local group administrators. And there it shows my AM hacker is in the administrators group. So this is the sign that I have actually successfully created the hacker. I can exit this command prompt, and the other hackers that I created before are there, but if I do I think I might have to do a restart before it'll show my AM hacker being available for logon. Let's try that. Do I have to do a reset to see that? Or maybe it has to kick in a screen saver. Let's just do a quick restart to show that that AM hacker is available for login. Now there are ways to hide those hackers for someone, so someone doesn't say, hey, wait a minute, there's another user, but that's for an extra little exercise. Maybe I'll leave that for you to figure out. You can actually hide users from being displayed on the user login screen.
Cool. Fun fact about this, I've done this before. I thought it'd be really nice to put for my grandma's computer, since I didn't want her to be an administrator, because, you know, down viruses or anything like that. I thought I would do that, and so I hid the administrator user. I figured I could just like RDP onto it. Either RDP onto it or go onto her profile, and then whenever I needed to use it, I would just type in the credentials. It actually hides it from the system at large. Like, the system, if you hide the administrator account, the system does not know that there's an administrator account on the computer.
Oh, really?
So when it goes to approve an administrator login or anything like that, administrator credentials, there is just, it's blank. There's nothing there because there's no administrators on the system. So I had to
Fun
reset
fact,
that.
so if you hide administrator, you have no administrators.
Yep.
Wow. Because I've done that with a separate user, hidden, that was an administrator, and I was able to RDP in for that user. I have never tried hiding the actual, so you hid the actual administrator, not an additional admin level user.
I hid the admin level user, and then that's what it did. So I couldn't use actual like administrator account on there.
Oh, right.
Granted that I didn't sit, like there wasn't an administrator account, it was just like the first account I set up was administrator.
Right. Because I have that on all the classroom PCs. I have an account, and I don't want it showing up on every screen, so I hid it from the login, but I'm able to I can only remote into it. Now, are you able to do that? Let's.
Did we do copy sethc.exe?
Yeah.
cmd.exe? Or
I copy command to sethc.exe.
Okay.
We don't want to replace command.exe. That would mess up our system completely. Now it's asking me all these extra questions that I must have told it to tell me to ask me later. Oh yeah, that's right. This is a new user. I'm logging in as the new hacker user. So this hacker user now has administrative privileges. And I can go in, let's just prove that I am an administrator. I've logged in as hacker. Let's go ahead and do create more users. Now that it's a hacker, let's go ahead and do users or control panel. Let's do control panel. We're going to control panel. Let's go back to control panel. Go to system information, system configuration, or control panel. And in the control panel, I can go into user accounts. And to see that I'm an administrator, I can mess with all the accounts in here. Look at that, that's my user account. Well, that's weird. Oh. I was actually doing that I was going to the wrong control panel. I was actually on this system thinking, wait, what happened to my hacker user? Here we go. Be sure to start the right one. Here we go, control panel. And now I'm on my system. There's my control panel app. On the VM this time, not on my local machine. And user accounts. And manage, we'll go ahead and change account types. Now I should see all my accounts on this system. There's all my accounts. And let's see, can I change this hacker? I can change this password, I can delete it. I can manage all the accounts. So I know I am an administrator. Now the thing about this, since you've done it once, to do it again, you don't have to do all the copying, but you can do the restart twice and practice breaking in and creating that user. At this point, since I'm an administrator, I can now create other hackers. This is once you have user access, you have complete configuration. This is one of my favorite programs, is computer management. This program just lets you go right to your disk manager, and you can also manage your users. I don't know why it's taking so long to come up. Computer management app. There we go. I love the computer management app because I can come right in here to local users and groups, see the administrators group, see that I'm in, my hacker I just created is in there, and very easily create new users here as well. This is I'll call this the easy way to create users, the graphical way. We're doing the net user. Since you can do it from command prompt, it also means you can do it from a script.
So this is nicer than settings, where you have to add their Microsoft account.
Yeah.
Every little step.
So that net user is a powerful program, and all I had to do was hack in troubleshoot mode. So I wanted you, once you have this, you can go to either do a net users at command prompt or bring up computer management and show local users. Just take a screenshot of that, and that will be all I want you to upload for this little exercise. So, were you able to successfully do it there, Lasha? Mm-hmm. And did you get it working, Steven?
No, it's not stone guys though from the internet. Just living.
So you don't have a working VM?
No.
You want to get a good working VM. Is it on your hard drive or on a flash drive?
It's not hard drive.
Make sure you make a copy of it to your flash drive. That'll act as a backup. Because these things get rather large. Well, we'll let you get, once you get your installs, go ahead and go in the PC. Get yours installed. So you had a bad ISO?
I think so. Complete. It says it's corrupted.
Do the Windows 11 Pro.
So every time I do that, it shows up. You don't have requirements for it.
Oh, that's where you have to do the, you gotta bypass the TPM.
Oh, if you version 17.
He wanted to do 16. So go on the internet and search for TPM bypass VMware, and they give you pretty clear instructions. Basically, you got to get your regedit while you're running setup, and it's just like three keys you have to create, and then you can do the install. I'll get you started on that, and we'll just go over some of the remaining things in chapter 2. Is basically the different malware types they want you to know. So basically, now you need to get into the
command prompt, or sorry, yeah, you need to get in command prompt on the install and run regedit. Yeah, and all I gotta do is just run regedit. They give you 3 things to change in the, yeah. What I did, I just run regedit and then manually go through the graphical regedit. You can do that as well. See if it'll work. Takes a little longer. The regedit, I'm so used to messing with regedit graphically that was quicker for me. Okay, so once you get it installed, Stephen, let me know and we'll help you do that hack into troubleshooting mode. Now there are other ways besides the sethc. The only thing that's become more difficult here with Windows 11 is you don't have the C drive automatically when you get into repair mode. You have to do that disk part thing. But pretty powerful way to get into any Windows system. The lesson here is physical access to your Windows system where you can hit the power button while it's in the middle of booting up and you're at the keyboard. You can break into anybody's system. So if your system is stolen, your laptop, someone can break into your system with administrative privileges and get all your files. So thinking about how to bypass this, how would you keep this from happening? There is extra antivirus software that watches for any changes specifically to those files that are known to be backdoors. And just imagine you boot up on the system, you see, hey, sethc isn't the size that it's supposed to be, or even more careful examination, the signature of the code in that sethc file is not the same as it was originally, because when you install the software, it does a scan and gets a signature of all existing programs in your Windows System 32 folder and other places where there's these important files that can be backdoors. It has that database somewhere, and while you're booting up, before it lets you do the Windows prompt and hit the 5 shift keys and fire up sethc, it will catch that sethc has been modified, and it will either stop the system or change it back to the original, because it may have kept a original copy of that to defeat this very, I call it fairly simple hack into and create a backdoor in your system. And I think Utelman was another one. I've only messed with sethc because it's so easy to do. I thought it was going to go away in Windows 11. Don't assume it's going to work for you though, because if you add a little bit of extra software into the system to watch for this while it's booting up, it'll defeat this capability. You could even defeat the sethc, so that doesn't even have a chance. You could just delete the sethc program, so it's no longer a backdoor. And too bad for the people that want to get hotkeys. It won't work anymore. And for most people, I don't even know how many people use the hotkey setting.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Now there's other ways to break into a system to reset passwords. What I want to focus on in this class is, how do you know whether your system has been hacked into? Well, you know there's a change in the sethc program over there in Windows System 32. Watching for changes to system files is one main way people watch for this, or defeat this. Another way to detect this, suppose the sethc is not protected, you can watch for additional users that you don't have on your list that are supposed to be on that computer. So even without messing with System 32 files, which can be kind of dangerous, refusing to allow system updates to those files can be a problem. You can watch for who's the current users in the system. Well, a way to defeat that would be, well, I can just change an existing user and make that user administrator. So even though I may not, and it probably would be smart not to touch administrator, just because any changes to that is going to fire alarms. Suppose you have 50 users maybe 10 users on the system. Pick a user that looks innocent, just make them an administrator. You can reset their password and using that net user command. And now you know, an existing user now as administrator. Other ways to break in or to cover your tracks along the way, you remember the sethc program now has changed. Make the change and cover your tracks out of the system. Some things that people do to cover their tracks, they also will set the clock to be sometime in the past, make the change, and then reset the clock back to the correct time. That'll make it a little harder for things to be traced through log files, because they'll be looking for, hey, what happened on the system yesterday because there was a hack. Well, if you change the clock before you do your nasty things, then it gets a little hard for people to see what you did in their log file searches. That is one major thing that they'll put in the system is changes to the clock, because they know that is a major way to mess with your system. In the certification, because the book is wanted you prepare for certification, one of the things that they prepare you for, or they cover, is the various malware types. So I'm going to change my screen resolution back to where it was here, so the display will work here. And so display settings. Let's change my resolution. Oh, I forgot what I had it set to. There it is. Resolution, I'm going to set it, I think it was 1920 by 1200. Close, not quite. Let's see. 1440.
I think you can leave it at the 4K resolution and then change the zoom on it.
Yeah, I probably should have done that. There we go. Okay, now just a quick little walkthrough of the malware types that are listed in the book. Let me find my document here real quick. They list a few of them, and this is one of the items in the test, is just to know the different types of attacks and understand the indicators of the attack. How do we know what's happening? Now I'm not happy with how they more talk about what type of attack it is. I think they could give you a little more help in knowing what the symptoms are, but let's just see what they give us. You're given some kind of scenario, and this is the fuzzy part of it. It's up to you to see what's happening on your PC, and the scenarios, depending on who's doing the investigation, you can have a lot of information or very little information. So it's going to be kind of tough in the real life. You have to search for the indicators. And you're going to actually have to interact and say, I need to know more to know what kind of attack it is. But we'll look at the indicators that they cover. Ransomware has been around. WannaCry and was a big one back in the day. But it was actually a nicer ransomware. It ended up being fairly easy to stop. It was across the world. But one thing it did that the people, and then it was fairly easy to disassemble and reverse engineer it, they found that it was checking to see if there was a particular website available to it. If it found that website, it would not run. And the guy that discovered it, and he did it fairly quickly, we credit him with finding the vulnerability pretty quickly. He discovered that all you had to do was make this website he was looking for available in as a fake website, and then it wouldn't execute. So the ransomware writers of that particular one that was very effective, but also had a nice turn-off switch that this Marcus figured out pretty quickly. All he had to do was fool the computer into thinking that the domain it would stop it from running, which they intended that they wouldn't make that domain available until you paid the ransom. He basically found out a way to bypass paying the ransom because he found the kill switch on the ransomware. Now, it didn't fix the ones that had already been encrypted. It only kept the ones that had that downloaded WannaCry, and when WannaCry ran, it kept it from actually running. It basically fooled WannaCry into thinking it had already installed itself and encrypted the computer's files. So once they registered this domain, and you can look up a DNS sinkhole, basically they disabled the virus or the ransomware. So what's the indicator of this? Well, sadly, with this one, the indicator was your system has been encrypted. I don't know if they, once they found the signature of the program, then they could basically scan all the files and find the file that had the signature of WannaCry, which was essentially a little script or compiled program that did the encryption of the system. This was a way to keep the virus from running in the first place. Until then, they had the scanning of it to keep it from even getting to the computer. So they basically found the kill switch for this particular one. I don't know if that's, I haven't heard that happening with many other ransomware software, that they actually found the kill switch fairly quickly. So I don't know if Marcus Hutchins became rich with his fix, but his name goes down in history as one who defeated a major ransomware that was just spreading, and still I don't know how many millions of dollars were paid, and damages were done to companies because their systems were locked up. The only antidote to ransomware is you have to have a system backup. Okay.
I'm pretty sure he fixed that, but then he potentially went to jail for being like designing malicious software.
Really? Yeah, I think he was a hacker turned white hat. I believe that the book mentioned that he was an evil person that turned to the good side. Maybe he went back to the bad side. Interesting stories, I'm sure, in all these people's lives. Like Kevin Mitnick is the one that I learned a lot about. Back in the 90s, he was famous for just being able to social engineer hack anything he wanted to. They kept him away from any technology. A Trojan is good program, or a program that looks good but has bad stuff hiding inside of it. And back orifice, it would attach itself to other programs. This is one key thing about viruses and Trojans, that they infect existing files. And what this does is basically open a back door and allow the back door to be opened remotely. Now with our hack that we just did, I didn't go in and open up remote desktop. If I'd open up remote desktop, I would essentially have a remote backdoor. So making it work remotely is something that you want to be very careful of. Watch for remote desktop capabilities. Now anyone that wants it to be more sophisticated wouldn't simply open up remote desktop, but would start a service that did the same thing as remote desktop, running on a different port, that wasn't detectable. Because it's so easy to say, don't allow remote desktop. Remember, I can just go into the remote settings, remote desktop connection app, or it's in the control panel. Actually, the easiest way I found is I go to File Explorer, PC Properties, right-click Properties, and right there in the Properties, well, let's see, it's been there for a while. Right there in the Properties is Advanced System Settings. Looking for Advanced System Settings, System Properties. Huh. I'll have to figure out where Enable Remote Desktop is. It used to just be right in the Properties. It's looking a little different here.
or I didn't go down far enough. There we go. Right there in system settings, I can go to enable or disable remote desktop. And I can turn it on or off right there. That would basically open a back door for anyone that's administrator. So remote desktop is one of the things, and it's not super secure. At least it's one of the things that has some vulnerabilities. I'm not sure if it still does in Windows 11, but the RDP protocol is not super tight. Maybe they've tightened that up in Windows 11. So your Trojan fools you into running the program. Remember the idea of the Trojan, it's bad code inside of what used to be good code. It attaches itself to working programs, and of course we'll try to do something very small. The worm or the virus is kind of the confusion. How do you know it's a worm or a virus? How do they determine a worm or a virus? Reading through the book, you come to the statements that basically a worm is essentially a standalone. Its only purpose in life is to replicate, where a virus likes to attach, or they're designed to attach to other pieces of code and infect existing programs. So it's not like a super critical one, but if you're doing certification, you'll come across questions of, hey, I'm seeing this activity. Is that a worm or a virus? You see a program that this one program runs that got installed on my system, and all it does is go try to replicate itself. That would be a worm. If you say I used to run Office, now whenever I start Office, my remote desktop is enabled, or I'm suddenly seeing tons of traffic on my computer. That would mean good code has been infected. The Trojan would be, I downloaded this program not knowing it had malware inside of it. So a virus infects existing programs on your computer that were legit. A worm is malware that just its purpose in life is to replicate and across the network and into your computer. A virus seeks to infect existing programs that are legit. It's only in memory. This is even more dangerous. You can't scan files for it. It's a little tougher for programs to scan memory because every process for security tries to hide my memory in my process from memory in another process, because processes that can see each other's memory, that's kind of dangerous, especially a process that's doing a login. If it's storing the login you typed in memory, all I have to do is run a program that watches the memory of the login program, and I can see what they're typing. So the system naturally isolates memory from one process to another. So a malware running only in memory is actually using the system protection of memory isolation to isolate itself from scanning software. So much harder to detect. They call it fileless virus, memory-based attack. As you have more and more memory, there's much more room for large memory-based programs can get fairly sophisticated. And just imagine a program that can do something and then disappear out of memory, or hide in memory somewhere and figure out to fool your system into running those instructions at random times, making it very difficult to detect. What do you do about a memory-based program? Well, your only option is to shut down your computer. You know that and hope that when you start it up again, your scan catches the piece of code that gets it into memory. But suppose it comes into memory through some flaw in your network system. It never even touches your file system. Imagine trying to catch that kind of thing. So power down is your only antidote to the memory fileless system, fileless virus. Some file, like the potentially unwanted software or crypto malware that mine cryptocurrency, they're not even there to damage your system. They're just there to run processes to do mining for you, for them. What's your detection of that? Well, you see unknown spikes in your CPU usage and you're not doing anything. The hard thing about that is Windows is often doing that kind of thing. On schedule, it'll go check for updates and you see a spike in CPU. How do you know that's not crypto malware? Smart crypto malware, I would think, would spike at the same time the Windows is doing a system update. And you just think, oh yeah, system update is doing that spike. And where the crypto malware is running at the same time.
to hide behind normal spikes in the system. So there's software out there. I think Folder is some software that actually someone at school, a student, thought he'd help. The Folder had some way to save the world somehow, and they convinced people that running the Folder program was helping the world solve problems, and we found that it was running on our AV computers in the chapel, because they were powerful computers that only used during chapel time. Why not help the Folder project? Well, that was not when Dr. Sanchez found out about that. He was not happy. The ever dangerous logic bomb. You've got a user that sees that their time is coming to the end at a company, that they might get fired at some time, and they'll just set a program that will check to see, is their user still in the system? If not, oh, let's do some damage to the system. And it could be any sort of payload. It could just be a malicious script that erases files or renames things. Remember that typically it's someone who has admin privileges, and they have a lot of power in the system to set scheduled tasks that look innocent, and they'll run and on some criteria that person has, indication that the person has been fired, and then they'll do all the damage. Sitting dormant for a while, the strength of that is your malware is in the backups if it's in there for a while before it does its damage. So that's the smart thing about anything that waits to do with the attack. It's in the system, in the backups. That, I'd say those are the most dangerous ones that sit and are in your snapshots. You don't know how far back you need to go to clean it out. Well, we'll stop there, and we'll begin chapter 3 next time. And I'm looking at the mapping of the new book, that optional book, to the system, to the required book for PowerPoints and for test material. Have a great day. Read chapters 3 and 4 over the weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Do you have when's your senior project thing? Do you have one today? Did you just get it scheduled yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
I have to get a signature of yours, and some other people to get approval.
Okay.